to this review of Halloween Kills. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
Thanks for coming.
Good to be here again.
It's been a while. It's been a while, but it's great. It's great. You're the first one in the studio since all this COVID started, so
awesome.
Lucky you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to bring people in. We'll wear astronaut suits so we can't, share the same air and all that stuff, but yeah.
Hey, whatever works.
Well, 'tis the season for dressing up, it's Halloween,
yeah,
so
it is.
it's less than a week away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much? Yeah.
Next weekend.
At the time of this review, of course. What better time for a Halloween, of all Halloween movies to come out? It's in the title.
Halloween Kills.
Yeah. I love the release date they got for this. It was like, what perfect timing.
It was perfect timing.
Because it seems like there's never a good Halloween film to go out and see or want to see.
Not anymore.
No.
Not anymore. It's finally have something that's worth seeing.
Right. For sure. This film, of course, is attached to a beloved franchise, and Halloween Kills is the follow-up to 2018's Halloween, which can be confusing because the original is called Halloween.
Yeah.
But of course, Jamie Lee Curtis came back, and most people are back for this round, if you will. But yeah, I just wanted to ask before we get into it, how does the original 1978 Halloween rank amongst all the other horror films you've seen?
For me, it's right at the top, honestly.
Yeah.
This is one of the first horror movies I watched. My very first one was Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah.
Of all things, but that was the very first one that I ever saw. But watching Halloween, a masked guy going around, slaughtering everybody.
Yeah.
The music was, you had the music, which was very catchy and
still good.
It's still good.
Yeah. Iconic.
After 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's just, it's one of those iconic classics that I think will last for, generations. And my kids, like horror movies. So, they can sit around, they're 13 and I have two, almost 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And, they love watching this stuff and they think it's funny. So...
Well, that's good. In many ways.
But we can sit around as a family and actually, watch these, and they pretty much enjoyed. The ones that watched it enjoyed watching the movie too. So,
do you try to school them on the Halloween film, or all of the horror films, or do you just put one in randomly and then it just happens to be absorb it?
They absorb basically everything. We go through. We have a bunch of them at home, and then either we stream stuff or we go on our apps. And we'll pick one as well too, and there's a little bit of fighting amongst the parents versus the kids to figure out which one to watch.
Not that one. What?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
But when we start watching it, we watch all of the Saw movies within just a couple weeks alone.
Right.
We watch from beginning all the way to end to the very last movie, and they thought that the very first one was pretty boring, and then it got better as it went along.
Yeah.
And they've seen the majority of the Halloween movies as well, too.
Sure.
But they know that we talked to them about this storyline, that it doesn't really so much include the, Plat 3 through...
Yeah, well, it's...
6.
Yeah, this whole franchise, it has multiple timelines.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's its own, MCU multiverse or however you want to say it, but it's very... It's always been interesting. Well, going back, of course, 2018 itself is basically a Halloween H2O take 2.
Right.
You and I saw that film in the theater back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And we thought that was pretty badass. Just with that, Halloween H2O was okay, cool. Because we thought that
where's Lori?
That was supposed to, that we thought that was going to be the continuation.
And it was at the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
Of, when Jamie Lee Curtis came back.
Right.
And we're like, oh, okay, this is, hopefully they'll build on from that. But then, they had, Resurrection come back, and we thought, okay, all right, because she's in it at the beginning. So we thought that they killed her off. But, 20 years later, here we are again.
Yeah, well, Resurrection was at the time, H2O was a high point, and then Resurrection, her part was very minimal.
Very minimal, yeah.
I think I've heard her say she didn't even want to do it. That's why it's so brief.
So that's what we probably thought that, at the beginning of it,
Yeah.
they probably just killed her off, and that was the end of the Laurie Strode.
That played into them
era.
being siblings,
Right.
right? And it ignored all films after 2, and now this 2018 ignored, I think, all films after 1, because they don't even play into the siblings, them being siblings. They bring it up in 2018 like a bunch of rumors,
right?
Kind of like there's a mythology or whatever.
I thought that it was the continuation after 2, because I think they had mentioned the whole sibling thing, and so I thought maybe when they brought that back in 2018,
that's what
I thought when they did the rumor thing.
Yeah,
I thought that it was still the true fact, but maybe like the younger, like the granddaughter or whatever, was like, "Oh, that's just a myth" or whatever. So maybe
it could be up in the air,
or maybe she knows that that Michael Myers is her great uncle or whatever, but has to keep that to herself. That's why I thought.
Yeah, of course. But there's all these like Easter eggs too. Like you got the Shamrock masks, right, from Halloween 3. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's other ones I'm missing. And I know when it came out at the time, a lot of people pointed it out. And I was like, oh, that's really clever. And I watched all the makings of the original films. Were you were a fan of the whole franchise, or just basically maybe the first 2?
I love the first 2. 3 was a complete joke to me. I mean, I love the song in there, like the ding 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 ding.
Yeah. Do you remember how hard that was to find? When I think as it was after we saw H2O, we were like, oh, let's go see them all.
Right.
And 3 you could not find anywhere.
Because it didn't until the Michael Myers type of storyline.
Yeah.
So, but now they play it often now, like on like Sci-Fi.
It's got a big cult following.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's just like you could tell it was pretty cheap to make, and I've watched it a couple times when it's like uncensored, so you can actually see the entire movie. And there's some parts that I'm like, okay, whatever, but overall, the season of The Witch, I thought it was going to be like, even back when it first came out, we thought it was going to be like the witch thing, but it was all a bunch.
I mean,
of
spoiler: there's no witch, right?
Yeah, it was like
it's all a corporation, mind control,
robot looking things.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Like it's very ambitious, and it did take a big chance, And I do admire them for maybe trying to continue the Halloween legacy without Michael Myers, which I think someday. I mean, I'm getting ahead, but after these new slate of films are done, it might be interesting to like actually take up that mantle and try to build on the world and maybe go into other things, but do it right. Like if you're going to promise a witch, let's see a witch.
Right. So, and then after 3, I liked, 4, 5, and 6, you have the, Return of Michael Myers, or the Curse of Michael Myers. You have the whatever.
Those
of Michael
masks
Myers
got so terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What was it? The
Not even scary.
4th one? Was it the 4th one or something like that? That the Michael Myers mask was completely different.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the first 2, and then you get back to 5 and 6, and it kind of goes back to the almost original looking Michael Myers mask. Because I think in 4 he looked kind of just like broad shouldered like Michael Myers, and just didn't really make any sense.
Like several actors play the shape. That's what they call him.
Right.
And even in this film and the previous films, like every film really, because they a certain look for whatever scene they're trying to tackle. But yeah, it's so interesting. Like looking back at H2O, I didn't realize it until like a video pointed it out. They made his eye holes really big so you could see his eyes. And looking back, I do not like that. Like I like you can't see.
Kind of the beady looking eyes.
Yeah, because if you look up H2O now or see it recently, you can see his eyes like all the time. And it takes a lot away from the scare factor to me. I like that whole emptiness, like the first. And me being a Star Trek fan, it's so cool that the original mask is a William Shatner Star Trek mask. They basically repainted and roughed it up, and I think they took some of the hair off, but it's so freaking cool how, and if you go out on Netflix now, they have, is it The Movies That Made Us? They're doing like a Halloween special. They're doing all the, scary films, and they did the Halloween one, and they did talk about that again, but it was so cool how they were on such a low budget, and they had to really be creative. And I don't know if that's why there was a lack of gore in that first one, because these remakes or these two films for now have honored the original.
Yeah,
but they've added a lot more gore.
Yeah.
Like drenching, gore pretty much. But
I think back then the even a little bit of gore back in the 70s was like, oh my god,
right.
And
it was before the 80s. 80s really, I think,
started to up it a little bit more, and then as you go along to the newer generations and the newer century and all type of stuff, and with technology, they're gonna make it look, a lot more.
Do you prefer like more in your head, or do you like seeing it? Like, do you have a preference with the Halloween films? I guess in general, since we're talking about Halloween,
maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I like to see like the the stabbing, and stuff like that, But also,
it's funny they took the boobs away and added the gore.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they did, which was kind of. Yeah, because I think more of the Jamie Lee Curtis era now is more like the olden age. Back then they showed everything.
Oh gosh,
or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Now it's like
for no reason. It was
like she's older.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not so much teenagers so much anymore. It's more just him just continuing his hunt for the person or people that were there from back then.
Sure.
So how he like sniffs them out, I have no idea.
Right.
That's just maybe just the part of his evilness that he can just like sniff out where these people are.
Yeah.
Because he tends to find everybody that he needs to find.
Do you want an answer to that, or do you want it to always be a mystery? Because I feel like, if they present the mystery, our heads come up with or have a bigger expectation than what they finally tell us the reasons for
I'm thinking
how he does what he does.
I have a feeling that, once the newer one comes out, when Halloween Ends comes out, I'm thinking that I'm guessing they might have some kind of like flashback from beginning to end on, if it ends the way I think it's going to, they're going to go start from the beginning to the end of Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis and how all this stuff started and all these flashbacks and like how, your life flashes before your eyes, that type of thing.
Sure.
I wonder if they're going to have like a flashback of how everything goes all the way up to the end.
Right.
I'm guessing how this is going to end.
Right, of course.
But, when you call it Halloween Ends, then it's kind of a...
Let's hope, right? And they just end the holiday. They don't end him.
Right.
Like, we're not going to call it Halloween anymore.
If we don't have Halloween anymore, Michael Myers will never come back around again.
But I will say, I never did see these films. So, like, after we had the H2O resurgence of the franchise and the resurrection kind of brought it back down. And then they decided, let's give it to Rob Zombie. And he made his two films.
I saw the first one. Oh, some of it. And I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
It didn't... I know you have other people who want to try and make a franchise of their own that can probably build. And it just didn't work for me.
Right.
I guess maybe it's just the storyline from what you get used to, and it goes with other movies as well too, because you have other movies that come out that they try to do their own storyline type of thing, and it's kind of a different genre because you have Halloween, but even with the Superman type movies, they try to bring it back with Brandon, and then it didn't really work out as well as they had hoped, and so now you have to kind of go back to the beginning, back to the basics of it. So kind of something like that.
Bring back what works and maybe tweak a few things. Yeah. From what I understand, his films were more remakes because, they totally ignored what came before. He reinvented it in a way. And there were some interesting ideas there. I almost think it should have been kind of like the new, I didn't see this one either, the new Chucky film they did. It almost seems like they should have just gone with a different killer entirely. Different doll, different man. Just do your own thing.
Yeah. I saw the newer Child's Play movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how the people out there feel about it, if they've even seen it, but...
Better than the first, or the original, right?
Not even close. Not even close.
But Mark Hamill voiced him. Come on.
I mean, I guess with the new way of trying to make Chucky the way he was in this movie, I guess was a good shot at it. Mm-hmm. But... when you look at it back in the 80s of a guy's soul being put in there instead of a
it's more supernatural
malfunction
technical
type of thing.
Yep.
That worked well.
Right.
When I watched it, you had the suspense throughout the original movie that is Chucky really alive?
Mm-hmm.
in this one, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it, but when everyone knows that the doll's alive, but when he walks with the kid everywhere, and his friends know about it, that's not really something.
Right.
Oh, he's just a good guy, you know.
Yeah,
He's a really good guy, and he plays with the kids, but then something triggers him, and then he gets mad. So that's it didn't really work for me,
Right.
and I'm gonna check out the new Chucky.
Series
eventually. I've seen commercials on it.
Yeah.
It looks all right, but it's like this doll is trying to like coerce a bunch of kids to go out and kill. So he's like, I only kill for people who deserve it. I'm like, oh, and in the back in the day, basically for him, everyone deserved it. So it's kind of weird.
Right.
I'll have to check that out, but it's weird how they're redoing a lot of these movies and shows to try and do a whole new thing. And you know, you gotta stick with a lot of times. You gotta stick with the basics just to make sure to make it grow. Like you said, tweak it a little bit.
Yeah,
but kind of follow, you know, a certain storyline. But they still talk about Andy Barclay in it. So I mean, I think that character's still in the show. I think.
Okay, interesting.
But because they said like the whole thing started with Andy Barclay, and you know, and it kind of follows that storyline a bit. Yeah. And I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I've seen the commercials and the trailer and stuff too.
But it's basically trying to do what this 2018 Halloween did in a way, right? Kind of reinvent the franchise, but
think so.
Honor what came before.
Yeah.
Hopefully give you something just as good or better.
But it seems like Chucky gets shipped around to like owner to owner. So, you know, and then he tries to like coerce the, you know, kids to basically go out and kill as well too.
Right.
So it's almost like the cult of Chucky that came out years back, and then which I thought was the end of it.
Yeah.
And then they come back and do a whole new Child's Play, and that just ruined it for me. So,
well, I gotta say what I admire about the creators, I think it's David Gordon Green, and Danny McBride, I believe they're the co-writers, and David Gordon Green's the director. What I admire is after their first Halloween came out, there's like once it was successful, they already went ahead and did the 2 follow-ups. Yep. So we know Halloween Ends is coming. It actually comes out next October. So that's great. Another October release. Yeah. Unless something happens. Hopefully not, you know. Yeah. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into 2018 itself, the film, what did you feel about it?
I mean, I was a little nervous about it at first.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I got into it, and again, they're following the original storyline, which helps a lot. So just blank out all the stuff that happens from basically from the 80s and then in the early 90s and early 2000, and just focusing on the original 1978 film.
Yeah.
And then going from there, it's like nothing has changed so much. I mean, obviously age, but other than that, it's just the whole storyline is basically just is able to flow from that to now.
Right.
And it's like Michael Myers was recaptured and put into the psych ward. And then you go in there and the guy's like 75 or like almost 80 years old. And he's down there bald and he's got gray hair on the side of his head. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but he still manages to get loose.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's still like, he has that much evil in him to get loose out of a psych ward again.
Right.
And drive off.
Right. Right.
Like he did the first time.
Right.
And he must be a really good driver for being, you know, in a psych ward from the time he was a kid till he was,
I guess,
for 60 years.
Yeah, they got like an old driver's ed simulator in his cell, and he just practices.
But I mean, I when I got done watching it, I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is like what we grew up on,
right? And
just knowing that Jamie Lee Curtis was able to come back at that role again, for the 4th time, or
but a much different Laurie,
yeah. And she's been waiting basically for him for like 60 years, seems like, and in their world, seems like,
right.
And she's just preparing herself, for it to happen again,
right.
And I'm not sure. We left off at 2, and I think was it in 2 that she found out that, or overheard that her and Michael were siblings? So she knows. So obviously she knows that he's going to come back after her at some point because of what happened in 1 and 2. And so she's preparing herself And so she's like got her own little battleground of
Right.
of waiting for him to show up. And so when it ended, I'm like, wow, okay, all right, I'm waiting for the next one, because I didn't know at the time that there was 3 coming. So after I watched after the first one, I'm like, oh, there are 2 more. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to how this goes. So I
like it though. That way, it's like it's going to be concluded. Whether or not they leave it open for more or they do end it, like the title suggests.
Right. And I rewatched the first one the week before, because last weekend was when we watched the second one.
Yeah.
Or Halloween Kills. And so we rewatched the first one just to just get the refresher again.
Yep.
And then we ended up watching Halloween Kills, and I just love how it flowed into the next one.
That's cool.
I don't want to give away too much of people who haven't seen it yet. But,
yeah.
It obviously picks up like it left off in the first one, just like the first one and the second one before.
Yeah.
Like it picks up where it left off at.
Right.
And just kind of builds on from there. And not to give not too much to give away, but there is a lot more gore in this one. I mean, it's like a action-packed gore movie,
right?
And I can't wait to see the next one on how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, you were already excited to see Kills before it came out.
Yeah,
and it lived up to your expectations.
It did.
Yeah,
once I saw Halloween.
Yeah,
this Halloween.
Yeah, right.
And I got done watching that. It kind of, got me pretty intrigued of how it's going to go on. Right. I didn't know it was going to be Halloween Kills next and then Halloween Ends.
Right.
But I just knew that there was 2 more coming after
that.
And, it makes me, pretty excited to find out how it goes down the road. So,
yeah, I really did. I enjoyed this film too. I just saw it today as we were recording. But yeah, I really do like, some of the surprises it had, callbacks. I'm not going to give anything away yet. We're going to go into spoilers soon here, but yeah, a lot of things surprised me. Like I did not expect a lot of things to happen the way they did. But yeah, a lot more gore. That's not really a spoiler because the previous film set you up for what was happening. Yeah. And everyone has said that, like, oh, there's so much gore. And, going off of some people who reviewed the film, they said it was not as much of a character study as the first one regarding Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie. Uh-huh. But I still, there might not have been as much, but she was kind of like the center of attention for that first film.
Yep.
And then this one, there's so many more characters thrown at you. And you do get some developments. You understand, I think, where they came from and all that. So I still think it delivers, just not as strong, but it's basically in the end, it's just a fun Halloween movie to watch. And
it's kind of going back to when you have a franchise, you have the original movie that kind of brings back stuff. And then you have the sequel that kind of, it's not as strong maybe as the original or the first one.
Yeah.
But then it's, in a way, building up to something.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, like the Harry Potter movies. You start out, kind of slow a little bit but it starts to build up, and something is coming down the road. It's just kind of like the same situation. And
building, yeah.
Yep. And it's building up for maybe like a huge finale of, all the characters that have been known before or whatever coming together or whatnot. And, hopefully, taking them out in some form.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a brainless sequel. There's a lot of ideas that make you think, if you were in that situation as a town, this is all from the trailers, so I'm not giving much away, but there's basically a town mob. They're like, screw this, we're done with this guy.
Yeah.
It ends tonight.
After all these years, it has got to stop.
We're
tired of living in fear,
Because they were celebrating, well, not celebrating, but it was 40 years in that town since the incident happened. And then, of course, this just, brought everything back. Everyone's, I wish I would have done this or that. And so that's all amped up and just mass hysteria kind of. And we'll get into it. But before we go to spoilers, check this film out. It's worth your time. It's good. It's a good addition. I would, if I would buy the Halloween films now, I would probably buy the original for sure. And then I'd buy the 2018 and Kills and Ends probably. But I I am tempted to go get 3. I don't know why, but I'll have to give that a revisit.
To try and give you a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after this is all said and done, maybe Shamrock will appear. You know, the company. That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
I know how you are with horror movies, Josh. I know how you are. So maybe if you watch the the actual ones with gore, and then you might need to go get 3 just to have like a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah,
it's kind of like you're almost like try to be a scary Disney movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe Disney will buy the Halloween franchise someday. Won't that be something?
Oh, yeah,
an animated Halloween.
yeah, a Mickey Mouse Myers.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think we both recommend seeing it.
Yes,
definitely check it out.
Definitely.
With that said, pause this and go see it, unless you don't mind being spoiled. But we're gonna get right into spoilers. So, Billy, anything you want to tackle starting out here?
Right off the bat, obviously, at the end of the first movie, they set fire to Laurie's house. Mm-hmm. They try to lock Michael in there. Obviously, he escapes.
Yes,
because you have Halloween Kills.
Yes, right.
So
and killing he did,
and of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, no, let it burn.
Right, and that was in the first one too, right? As they were going to the hospital. I think so. Yeah, that was a great ending.
Yeah, it was a great ending, and they're like, let it burn, and of course, they didn't let it burn.
And the firemen, they're like, we gotta burn it out.
Michael is actually pretty smart, and he hides to try and keep the smoke from getting to him. And or behold, he gets out and walks out through the fire, and the killing begins. I mean, he's attacking everybody in his sight.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, that's the thing about this whole film. He takes on groups of people. Like, I don't think that ever was done before.
He's like a ninja killer, because he has cops, he has firefighters. I mean, he goes all out right away, and these guys are trying to stop him, and he's just going at it.
Yeah.
Like he's like in like a kung fu master / serial killer. I mean, it was insane. Literally.
So many stupid moments in this film in a good way. Not a good way, but some characters I was like, and I guess that's probably good for a horror film. Like, you want to kind of interact and be like, get out of there. What are you doing? Like the dude hosing him off.
Yeah.
Like, freaking move, dude. He's got a weapon. Like, you can't just... He's like, oh.
You can't hose him off.
Right. He just came for him. And then the guy had the chainsaw thing, or the Jaws of Life.
Yeah.
Where they cut through metal. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, he did not care. And...
no matter what they try to do, I mean, they could stab him or with an axe or whatever, try to chop him, and it would not stop him.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. And he took out everybody that was there. And I don't think anyone escaped. Honestly.
No, they
that
didn't.
was there. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, there's like 20 people dead in the first 10 minutes.
It definitely,
here we go.
It makes you like fear him even when a lot of people are around. It's like,
I really should have tallied how many like as they did the fight scenes. I should have tallied how many people were going down at once, and
someone did.
I wouldn't be able to keep up.
It's like the most kills in the Halloween franchise. I'm sure. The 78 flashback was cool.
Yeah.
Like that was totally doctored. I mean, yeah, they manipulated a few things, but they really made it interesting because they introduced new characters in that timeline in 78 that were going to be in the present.
Right.
And Officer Hawkins from the first one, we got to see an origin tale of him.
Right.
Because this is after Halloween ends, 78, I believe. When Loomis shoots him, he falls, and then he's gone. Which, by the way, Halloween, if you didn't like anything that came after Halloween, that movie alone's like perfect.
Right.
Like, he's gone.
Right.
And it's like, oh shit.
But
you hear the breathing.
But then they show that because Loomis shot him.
Yeah.
But then in this one, they show him being captured after everything that happened in 78.
Right.
So it's like they recaptured him. And this is where we get to the present, because he's an old man in I guess the second Halloween.
Yeah, it fills in the gaps.
It fills in the
basically
gaps.
The 78 and the 2018 Halloween.
And he's standing outside being chained, and you see this old man just like he was in the original, just kind of standing there staring. And again, he gets away.
Yeah.
and I'm surprised he didn't have a cane. He's old, and he just like walks out of there like nothing ever happened. He's gonna need a wheelchair or something like that.
Right.
He just walks off. And, the guy can survive a fire without. I love the mask. I love how the mask is like part crispy, and it's.
Yeah. Well, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 played with that a little bit.
Right.
His mask was damaged, but it was like most of his face you could see it. So it was like, it took a lot out of the scare factor. But yeah, I do like how they got like, it got crispy on one side.
Yeah. Because he is an old man now. So, if he's aged, it's like the mask has aged as well, too.
Right. In the first movie, it did have an age to it as well, right?
Kind of. It's like it was like a plain white mask and stuff like that. And you could tell it was rubber, but when he put it back on, it was like it's aged over the years, and like just you have like crispy like cream, like on your face. That's what it looked like,
right?
And it worked well with the whole thing. And then with this one, after he kills off all the EMS and firefighters and or EMTs or whatever you want to call them, everybody
does not discriminate.
He goes on and starts going after people who. You see the flashbacks of cops and whatever doctors or whatever there was in there, and he starts picking them off.
Mm-hmm.
And he started getting to Lori, and she's in in the hospital. Then you have the whole entire town. They know that he's back, and they brought back Tommy.
Yep.
Is it Tommy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tommy Doyle.
Anthony
Michael Hall.
Yep. And so they bring him back.
He didn't play the original, but
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I know it's him.
Yeah.
He's coming. And that's where the mob comes into play, because they're like, this ends now.
Yeah.
And they have the whole entire mob. They have guns. They have knives. They have everything they have to go hunt them down. And the whole entire town is like almost like a ghost town, because they're all out like in the woods or whatever trying to find him.
Right.
And I can't believe how it's fun. It's fun to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially just. His modern or his home is updated. It's like this gay couple live in it, and it's really nice and luxurious inside and all that stuff. And I enjoyed those two. I knew they were probably going to die. They did.
Yeah.
But you definitely get told about the window upstairs. He was looking out all the time.
Yep.
The kids talked about that who knew him. And going back to the flashback, the dude who played Dr. Loomis is like strikingly he looks exactly like Donald Pleasance almost. It's crazy. I don't think they did any CG or anything. It's actually Tom Jones Jr. who played him.
Really?
But yeah, because he was in darkness a little bit,
right?
But they did. You can go out to Google and find images of him made up as Dr. Loomis, and it's really good. Like,
I honestly,
just the voice, I think they borrowed maybe or tried to.
Maybe that's what it was, because when I was watching it and they did the flashbacks,
it looks.
I thought it was him. Like maybe it was like deleted scenes that they didn't use or whatnot.
Right.
So that's what I was thinking.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
But I had no idea that's what happened. Honestly.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that was really. They definitely are embracing the supernatural of Michael. I feel like in 2018 they weren't. They were trying to get away from that, because that clearly was what was given to us in the original franchise.
Yep.
This one, dude's supernatural, and I don't know if we're gonna get answers on that or if we should get answers, but something's up. Maybe he's a robot and he's got like a shamrock marking on his back. See, they're gonna bring the.
Now, wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be.
They finally kill him off, and then there's a shamrock on the back of his neck.
Let's dig in here. Like, oh my god,
so that's where the witch came into play.
Right. Well, they bring back Dr. Loomis's nurse, and God, she's killed. I was like, fuck, man, what the hell? Like, we saw all these people, and I was like, this is great. And Tommy Doyle gets killed.
Yeah.
Like at the end, it's like they're all standing around him, and they brought Sheriff Lee Brackett back.
Yeah.
He's working at a hospital. He's in his 80s, man.
He's a security guard. He's like, he killed my daughter 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And, he wants to go hunt him down as well, too.
Right.
And so...
That's the only parts I didn't really like, was they kept bringing that up. Like, when Tommy Doyle goes to see Lori, He's like, 40 years ago, you protected me. Like, we know this. Like, I guess this is for people who need to be reminded a lot. But, at the bar, he already talked about 40 years ago and all.
Yep.
We know the story. But I felt like that was brought up so much. Like, hey, my daughter was killed. Remember? I just said that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish there was less of that. It's kind of nitpicking, but at the same time, I think they're trying to hammer it in. Like, hey, this is the original sheriff, you know? But I think it's really for the fans, the big fans. The new fans aren't going to really...
remember or know.
Right.
What's going on.
But it was great to see that guy again. Charles Cyphers, I think that's his name. But yeah, he gets his throat slit. That ending was crazy. I kept thinking, like, run.
Yeah, well, it was pretty, they all, find him, and they're all beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And so Lori's daughter, of all people, comes up and stabs in the back of the neck, and he's down. We're like, all right.
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And then, of course, he, again, ninjas up again and just destroys everyone again in his path.
Yeah.
And, close to the end, you have... Lori going nuts, and, she just had surgery and everything else because she was injured. And then the very last part of the movie, her daughter goes into the house, stares out the same window, and then she gets...
Do you think she's dead?
Based on the number of stabbings that they showed, maybe.
Well, because, Hawkins was stabbed in the throat in the last one. He survived.
But, in a way, if they're still following the same line, she is Michael Myers' niece. So maybe... if they're
following that, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe, she can take all these stabbings, and maybe she'll come back in the end. You thought it was dead, too. What, huh?
Well, they basically found out... He didn't come for Lori. He came for the house.
He came for the house and...
just to see himself.
Yeah,
right?
That, and I think that, he probably came for Lori as well because, he, that was one of his targets. So I'm not sure if he really knew back in the old days if that was his sister.
Oh,
to be honest. I don't know. It was weird because it's kind of weird how he would, he killed all the friends, but she was... Like if they're not
honoring her being his sister, maybe she was a friend of the family's or something. Like there was some maybe,
or she's part of the original people that
on her or something. Yeah,
she was like part of the original people that that he killed.
Yeah,
and so she's one of the original people that are left. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's going back to finish the job. But
that's true because he didn't. Well, I mean, yeah, he saw interest in her when she was walking home and all that stuff. But that might have been because she was by herself. But then later on, he's not even going after her. I think she just went over to her house or that house where the friends were and discovered all of them. And that's when he got interested, it seemed, in her.
Yeah, because she was walking home with a friend in 78. Yeah. And then he popped behind from a bush and he was staring at her. And, they thought like, oh, it's probably some guy that has a crush on you.
Yeah.
And and then she starts they bring back Tommy and then the other girl that she was babysitting. They brought her back as well too.
The original actress,
right?
For that,
and I believe she ended up getting killed too. I believe.
Yep. No, actually, no. She hid.
Oh, she
got. I think she got stabbed, but she hid, and then they found her, and then brought her to the hospital. And that's how they bump into Lori, and they tell the whole town like.
It's already been a week since I've seen this movie.
Well, I just saw it, so it's fresh. So yeah, no, it's fresh in my mind, but yeah, I mean that sucked. Like her and the nurse getting taken out. Because I thought when they were brought back, they were going to do a little bit more. But if you recall in H2O, that nurse she came back again, and she died in Michael Myers. No, it was Donald Pleasant's house, in Dr. Loomis's house. She was in, like she lived there or something, and he was in there for his like old documents or something. Right. So that's how H2O started. So again, they reinvented bringing her back. In a different way, right? And the I remember seeing the preview, and these it looked like kids at the time with the masks on. What do you call the spinning thing at the park? Oh my god!
Oh, jeez,
what is that called? Not merry-go-round.
It's almost like that in a way.
Yeah, everyone listening, and it'll come to me later, but yeah, you get on it and there's bars and it spins. In the trailer, it looked like kids in there.
Yeah.
And a kid hanging, and it was actually them, the adults, and the couple who wife got in the car from the bar. Did you think that was Michael at first? Because they did show on the news that another dude escaped. Which did they cover that in the first one? I don't even remember. The penguin looking guy who waddled, and they thought he was Michael.
Yeah, they thought he was Michael. I don't think they really cover it all, because I think in this he was being transported to someplace else, and that's how he escaped.
Oh, okay.
Again.
I just thought it was odd when they first thought that was Michael. I was like, why would Michael be right there right now? Why at this bar out of all these places?
Right.
And so I don't know when I caught on to like that's not him. Maybe they just clearly showed it. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean that gets into like the whole like you're obsessed with kind of like Moby Dick. You're obsessed with killing this whale. That this other mental patient. You don't even think really. You're like that's him. That's Michael. And the dude's like not broad shouldered.
He's not broad shouldered. He's like, not all that big.
And he's got no mask. He's talking. Like Michael doesn't do any of that.
And they're saying, people are saying it's not. Well, Laurie's daughter was like, it's not him. It's not him. Yeah. But Tommy's like, get him. This ends now.
Right.
So and then he finally realized that it wasn't him.
Yeah.
But
it's too late.
But it's too late because everyone else is still. Yeah, on his trail.
It's like you start something and it's out of your control.
Yeah,
everyone's like obsessed. And when she first approached that guy, I was like, "What if this guy turns out to be just as bad as Michael? Like that would really suck."
Right.
And then
but she helped him get away.
And they tried to fly.
Right.
And holy shit, I think I don't think his head had that much guts in it. Brain matter.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That was overkill.
That was overkill. I don't think that would have happened so much in real life. I mean,
it wasn't that high up.
It wasn't. Yeah.
I get it. It's a horror movie,
but,
whatever.
I'm thinking that in the next one, since he technically, quote, quote, killed off his niece, that's where they're going to pick up at. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to head to the hospital.
She comes to the hospital, and Laurie finds her in the morgue or
and then
shit.
I think everything is going to end at the hospital. That's my guess.
Just like 2.
Yeah.
2 did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that they're going to kind of go back to the basics and everything, because Laurie is still injured from her, whatever happened. And then plus, she's had surgery. So she's not going to get around very far.
And her boyfriend or friend, his throat's still like being fixed. And
so I think that everything, in my opinion, I think everything's going to happen at the hospital. And that's where everything's going to end, whether it's Michael and Laurie, which I have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
I think she's going to.
I think they're both. I think they're going to go at the same time. So I think she's going to, figure out a way to, I don't know, maybe blow them up or blow each other up.
They can do exactly like Halloween 2,
basically. And but that'll be the last. The last of it. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But
I just don't know what else they could They've clearly established in this film he is supernatural.
Yeah.
They're not even shying away from it. The dude's supernatural. So it's like, do they even explore that in this last one, being the last one? Like, she did, her daughter, before she went into the house at the end, played by Judy Greer. She was in the 2018 film. Did you see Michael in the window as a kid? The clown costume? I swear I saw that. Okay.
I think so.
I wonder why she was seeing that. Like, isn't that weird how... The daughter saw that,
Right. Like I said, I think it's like a family thing.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe she's seen all this stuff. I thought they ignored
2. Maybe they didn't, or maybe they are kind of going to reveal they're related or something. I thought that was really strange, though.
That's why I said I think that when they do Halloween Ends, I think that they're going to do like all these flashbacks from the beginning.
Maybe.
And make it all add up to the end and see like, oh, well, that makes sense how that happened.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen.
I like how they do the flashbacks in this one. And I think it's because, in the end, it's kind of cut and dry. He's just killing people, and we don't know the reasons. But when you see these flashbacks, it builds upon the world more, expands it. And I think for Ends, they could definitely do a lot more flashbacks.
Yeah.
And it's just.
I think they tried to, do the part where, Michael's real young and he starts his, he does his first kill. And, the very first movie, they didn't really explain why for sure he did that.
Yeah.
I think it seems like he was just a little kid.
It's a pretty simple plot.
Who was pissed off and and all you see is like this little itty bitty hand that wasn't even a real hand.
Yeah.
It looks like, and he goes and grabs a knife and kills his older sister, which is, you would think that she would be able to stop him. You know,
Right.
he's like a little munchkin and she's a teenager. So,
Right.
But
That was a crazy reveal.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little kid.
so I wonder if they'll like kind of go back and show, why he started it, how Lori kind of came into the whole equation, and then it's kind of worked its way all the way up to the last, few minutes of the movie, and then we probably much better understand, the entire,
maybe
the
the
storyline.
parents were into some kind of cult, or I don't know if they'll even touch that, but when they did set up a mystery there, when young Hawkins just saw Michael in the alleyway and shot him. This was after 78 ended, and he left and he went down that hallway or that alleyway, shot him, and then he was talking to the other guy, and the other guy grew up with Michael a little bit, like they were friendly. Like I think he said his mom used to make him go over to the house just to play with him, but I think Hawkins was like, did he, he basically trying to say, did he do any like psychotic things that gave a hint to what he was going to do eventually? And he said no. So it's like, is he possessed? Like, what is this? I just feel like this mystery's been set up, and we either need to explore it or, actually, I feel kind of like we get cheated if we don't explore it more. Yeah. Not to say, I guess we have to know every answer to everything, but it's like something's got to be more at play here, and I'm wondering if Ends is going to explain that a little bit more.
I hope it does, because
yeah.
It would nice to know how he became so evil and how it's like he can see the world through his own eyes at a brick wall.
Yeah,
and how he's able to, just do what he did.
Yeah,
and is it possession? Is it just something in his brain that triggers? Is it like he hulks out, when he's free
in a bad way.
So I hope that they can do that, because that'd be very satisfying to know the entire story at the end.
This is something they could do. I just thought of, like, I don't know what they're doing, but you got the granddaughter. What if there is a cult involved? His body's getting really old, and they basically need to possess a new body or have a new body take on his mantle, and if that granddaughter is the target, and then Lori has to like stop her.
Right.
That's a big stretch into the supernatural.
It is,
but
it's
maybe
it's kind of like when what was it? Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
and Jason's body at the time was not inhabitable, so that little evil thing.
Oh yeah,
had to find
that was weird.
Another body. So basically, it's like Jason's soul in this little slithery thing that gets into someone else's body.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like something like that, or like when Freddy's dead, those little sperm looking things come out and they're flying around.
Right.
And so maybe it could be something like that. Something.
It feels like
evil.
If they would have set up a cult type of thing more, I could see that. That is a lot to put in one film.
It is,
especially for wrapping it up and to do it justice, not do it like silly, and really unbelievable. But I feel like this one has kind of put us into that territory, because the first one seemed very more grounded, and then this one, they totally go into supernatural. Like in the end, it's like you're probably gonna have to cut off all his body parts, and they're gonna have to be like in concrete, all these other locations around the world. Like, I don't know how they're going to. They can't kill him, But Lori did mention something about violence only makes him stronger,
right?
So it's like you have to get into his psyche. So it's like, do they both take acid?
So violence makes him stronger. So basically, like, you gotta like be nice to weaken him, type of thing. But I mean, it's one of those things you have to, there's a lot of what ifs and could do's and all.
Or they
go,
stuff. They explore the family. Maybe they weren't great people. Maybe. I don't know. But.
So I think it's just one of those things to like stay tuned for, and there's hopefully next year we'll know the entire story, and
it's a big setup.
It would be a yay or nay, how they work it out. But.
Again, I like the film. A lot of stupid decisions. I guess that's your classic horror film, though.
I think the timing part was a little cheesy, because
which part?
Well, the
all
part
of it, or
the bar part when he's like in the bar and he's talking about his childhood, and he invites the nurse and whoever people that were around back then.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people that were there when all this happened and stuff like that. I think that was a little bit kind of cheesy in a way.
Too much exposition.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad they brought the character back, but
they didn't reveal him either. Remember that couple were like, "Hey, could you keep it down?" And you just see the hands and stuff, and then it's the big reveal, and then it's a clever reveal of that brand new kid they introduced us to in the flashback. He's a grown man now, and his son was one of the kids from the first film.
Right.
Yeah, some of that probably could have been handled a little better. Little tweaks here and there. I felt like there was a lot of overstating, like 40 years ago you did this for me. It's like, if we're fans of the franchise, we know, and if we aren't, it's not going to be something we are really going to need to know.
If anything, because in the movies before, like I think it was like either 5 or 6, they brought him back, but Paul Rudd was the character.
Yes.
I think that would have been better in a way.
Oh, bring Paul Rudd in?
Yeah. Because he's
got Ghostbusters come out next month, so he'd be busy man.
Yeah, he'd be pretty busy man. Yeah. But I think that would have been pretty cool if they brought Paul Rudd back, because
he could do serious. I mean, he's good.
Yeah.
He's
so
good at everything.
And he was, in the 5th or 6th one, he was actually like, he had this radar or whatever of Michael Myers. He had these pictures and all that type of stuff. So I think they could have kind of flowed part of 6 or whatever movie it was back then to now as well too, because he was also watching out for him.
Right.
And so I think that could have been a build on from there instead of doing what they just did in this movie, I think.
Right.
Anyway. But I mean, knowing that, it was 40 years that, that Michael Myers had came after him. That's cool. They could have built on from 6 to now, and then not make the Tommy Doyle character look so like insane in this one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know he's pissed off. He wants it to end as well too, which I get that. But I just think that
it ends tonight.
Yeah, it ends tonight. But I think that Paul Rudd might have been or his type of character would have been more of a better fit than Anthony Michael Hall or whatever's.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they could have maybe done his character a little bit better. I think I would have been more forgiving if I knew he was coming back for the next one. But that's the other thing that sucks. They brought all these people back and they killed everybody.
Yeah.
So again, it's Laurie and Hawkins. It's like everyone from the 2018 film. Yeah. That's going to be really interesting, like, because it's all going to, I think this whole trilogy is one night, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Just like the first two were one night.
She's bleeding, like, still. Like, she tried to get up, Laurie. She tried to get up, and she's bleeding.
Yeah.
And so it's like, she's going to duct tape that? And then her boyfriend, whatever, like, his neck, he's not in the best shape at all. Right. So who else is going to take up killing him? How these two are going to kill him? There's no way.
Yeah. So maybe that's where they didn't bring in the granddaughter so much towards the end, because she was at the hospital. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wonder, is it the granddaughter that's going to be the, also the final, thing in the movie as well too? Is it going to be the granddaughter? Is it going to take the granddaughter to kill him off?
Right.
So
I don't. I mean, and that's the other thing. It's when you get to the supernatural. Of course, Laurie did say the violence makes him stronger, so maybe that's how he's able to be imprisoned to a mental hospital for all those years. Because I'm saying he's breaking through everything. He could easily break out of the mental hospital without any help.
Yeah.
That was kind of a weird stretch in the 2018. That doctor who was obsessed with Loomis and Michael Myers. Right. He turned on a dime. Right. He's the one that stabbed Hawkins.
Yeah, because he's the one that brought the mask back to Michael. It's like he wanted him to get riled up and start all over again. So
and he wanted him to go back to Laurie.
Yeah,
like he wanted a big puppet master.
Yeah,
that was kind of messy in that last one, but I'll forgive it. These films are much better crafted than the sequels we got after. 2 was pretty well crafted, I think. I mean, Carpenter did that one. Of course, I think he didn't want to. So that was why it was very different, more gory than the first one. But overall, these are crafted very well, I think, and for what they are. And if you're not a fan, you always have the original 78. Like that's classic. But I do appreciate that these new films are, they're using everything that worked and then making their own story too. They're using the classic Halloween theme, which I guess the franchise never quit using, because
they never really quit.
You
using
couldn't. It was just so classic.
Yeah, they pretty much used the same music all the time. Of course, it was tweaked a little bit because when H2O came out, there's a lot more like
techno. Wasn't it techno or something?
So they had like
something?
a lot more like bass or some kind of like
yeah,
boom
yeah,
to it
yeah,
to make it like seem a little more scarier and all type of stuff, like new and improved.
Right.
But
yeah, I had fun with this film, and yeah, thanks for helping me see it. That was cool. Appreciate that. I wanted to drag my wife to it. She did not want to go. So we're not big scary movie people, but I try to push myself to be. I love the Halloween franchise. That is definitely my favorite, and I think this one it doesn't disappoint. Yeah, it brings up a lot of mystery. I hope unless Ends is like 4 hours long, then they can really get into the cult mentality. Like, there's got to be something,
I wonder if it's gonna be like a
how do you kill him otherwise?
Like a 3-hour movie because
yeah, it's got to be like a Book of the Dead or some shit or a spear. Like,
because you have like
how do you have
all these big movies that they're like 3 hours long and kind of like with Justice League, you have to fit everything on in 4 hours. So I kind of wonder if it's gonna be one. They're gonna end it, they want to end it good. They want to probably make it like 2.5 to 3 hours to fit everything in,
right?
Without hopefully making it boring,
right?
And just get the whole storyline all in one movie to have a final. Well, you would think a final goodbye, right. But pretty soon the guy's he's gonna need a cane. He'd probably use the cane as a weapon, But he's running out of time here.
Right?
Either he's gonna die of old age.
He's powered by Insure. Yeah.
He's going to live to 150, and he's still out there killing people.
What do you like when this is over? Let's say they do end the Michael Myers saga. What do you want for Halloween itself? Do you want it to be reinvented again down the road, or do you want them to try to stay in that universe, maybe explore other type of characters?
It's going to be really. They've already tried the remakes. Well, right now anyway, they've already tried the remakes and they didn't work as well. No. I mean, it hopefully doesn't happen in my lifetime because I don't want to see it. I want to keep it the way it is. If it makes
money, it's not going to be dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, even though it probably should be.
I think that, once the Michael Myers thing is over, whenever that may be, I think they should just kind of build on to something different.
Yeah.
And maybe the next Halloween will be, the grand niece of Michael Myers, type of thing. You never know, but
that could be the stinger at the end.
Yeah,
she's in a mental hospital.
Yeah, so I mean, they could build on from that, I guess. Yeah. Well, she's the grand niece of Michael Myers. He killed off his sister and niece, and now it's the grand niece. I mean, that's a far-fetched thing to do, but I mean, down the road, you never know what may happen. Maybe they will do a season of the witch type of thing down the road, but actually have witches in it, causing havoc.
I think that was Carpenter's original idea. After 2, I think he was like, just
be done with it.
Well, not be done with it, but like, if you're going to do another Halloween, just try another villain. Get Michael Myers out of there. Try other things. I mean, yeah, they could do copycats of Michael Myers. That would be something. They just kill. And you just watch it. It's just kind of like Final Destination or the original Halloween films. Like, there's not really a plot. It's just they kill. It's like Saw movies or something.
Saw movies or the Scream movies. There's always,
Hell, they could honor the goofy Myers sequels. The Halloween sequels are kind of goofy in spots.
Right.
Like, some of them had like weird music and humor and stuff. Like, they could really tap into that just to not to try to be so artistic with it, I guess, or replicate.
I think
just for pure enjoyment, nothing for like critical acclaim or anything like that.
Once this is over, once you have 1, 2, and then Halloween, they should put like Halloween again or something like that, and then Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. Once those are done, like just put it in the vault. Yeah, just put it in the vault and just leave it. It could be all-time classics. From they can just keep it the way it is and not just leave those alone. Leave the Laurie Strode, Michael Myers story behind, and maybe not even do a Halloween movie so much anymore. Just leave it alone. And but so down the road, someone's going to do it.
It's going to happen again. Yeah.
They're going to bring back all these movies that have come out in the last 20 years. They're probably going to redo a lot of them anyway.
Probably.
Why, I don't know, but it's just the way it goes. So
money. And they don't have to be that creative.
But at least these storylines are in a way original. Because they follow the storyline, but they're like original type things, but you have all these spinoffs that just don't work well. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're both happy with the film, and yeah, it was fun getting into spoilers. Again, I'm just so curious what ends is going to be. How do you top this? And
don't lose sleep over it.
No, I won't. Don't worry. It'll be for the wrong reasons. Like Michael Myers is here. Shit. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Thanks for doing this. This was fun.
It's been a while, so I'm glad to be back finally.
Yeah. No, this is great. Happy Halloween, everyone. Go out and see this film and enjoy this season. We'll be back. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
Take care.